Smart 24, driving business.
Well, good to have you. Good morning. Welcome on board to Smart Means Business. It's Monday and yet another week to kickstart off your business daily with us here on Smart 24 TV. My name is Jerome Paul Sonko and you're watching Smart Means Business. What a way to kickstart off your morning once again. The show did kickstart off at 6 a.m. with the news recap. Now we're definitely getting deeper into understanding what the world of business has for us this particular week, starting Monday the 20th, 2023. But besides that, also remember that Zabu is a platform that is giving you that advantage of investing. So as the week is kick-starting off, please do remember to invest with the platform Zabu. My money, my future, all takes East Africa. Do something new. Now remember, with the platform, you can easily kickstart off the investment by registering with your NIN. And after registration, you will be eligible to invest in government bonds and, of course, other securities available on the platform in the next 24 hours or so. Zabu is a platform by Alltex East Africa which says in case you want to do something when it comes to investment, especially around the government bonds, you can do that by only a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. and closing time is 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. Please do note that these markets are also fully closed during the weekend and also on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future, Alltex East Africa, do something new. Now, all right, besides that, we now take a look at our morning update. Now, this business update is basically going to be rotating around dairy exports in Uganda. Previously, when President Museveni made a 3-day visit to Algeria, one of the key discussions was to create at least awareness and also pretty much to do with the market for Ugandan dairy products, especially powdered milk. Let's look at also processed milk that can be set out to the countries like Algeria, which is a very huge consumer of Ugandans dairy products. Now, this had come after a few of the different bans that were coming in from our neighboring countries, especially Kenya, which was banning the importation of milk products from Uganda. Of course, they were actually highlighting that some of the reasons behind it was because of the fact that one, it failed to meet the standards, then two, the consistency in the quality had deteriorated, and so this is one of the reasons as to why the Kenyan government had banned getting milk from Uganda. But not only that, one of the other main reasons was because of the kind of weather conditions currently, because by the look of things now, due to these particular rains that are coming in, it makes it very possible for the cattle in Kenya to produce quite a number of liters of milk, and at the end of the day, that means the market will be flooded by both Ugandan milk and of course the Kenyan milk, and sometimes Ugandan milk does look cheaper when it comes to the other perspective of Kenya, so that makes it very difficult for the market. But of course, also a week ago, the Kenyan officials furthermore suspended that ban, which meant that Ugandans can still export their dairy products to Kenya. But of course, when you look at other countries where Uganda has already sealed markets, include Zambia, now there's also the United Arab Emirates, now here comes in Algeria. Now, according to President Museveni, milk powder, which is worth 150 million US dollars, is said to be exported to Algeria. Particular 3-day visit where President Museveni met his Algerian counterpart last week. Now, President Museveni also pledged to support Uganda's dairy sector to make sure that they produce more volumes of dairy products that are ready for exports. In the update, we do have His Excellency Yoweri Museveni and giving his verdict on the issue to do with the dairy exports out of Uganda, especially heading to Algeria?
Telling the Ugandan leaders to see how to rescue their people from poverty. It's not correct that we should go like this, as if I am begging people to do something for me, when we need to do this for our people. I call this the success in the cattle corridor partial, because elements in the society still have irrational practices carried on from tradition that negate progress, what we call reactionary, reacting negatively vis-à-vis positive progress. These are the practices of fragmenting land on inheritance and depending on only nature to provide the pasture, yet it is more reliable if we grow the pasture. Once I had that partial success, by 1995, I went to the whole country and gave all and sundry the message of transformation. However, like the Jews, many people are either not bothered or are waiting for another Messiah, even when the message is clear and verifiable. Verifiable how? Visit the cattle corridor that used to be wilderness, Engando, country like Akesi, Hohai, which is now an area of some modern farms producing millions of liters of milk per day for the local markets and for export. The exports have hit US dollars 106 million per year. Algeria is now going to also buy our powdered milk worth US dollars 150 million. If this area could transform, so could the others. In the manifesto of 1996, we put forward the 4 acres model of coffee, fruits, pasture for zero grazing dairy, food for production, food crop production, and pig and poultry in the backyard, and fish farming near the wetlands. This was the medicine for the smallholders. Those with bigger pieces of land were more flexible and could help the country grow and participate in producing products that needed large-scale production to make economic sense that the country needed, such as cotton, maize, sugarcane, ranching for beef, etc., etc. In terms of funding, the latter group would be supported by Uganda Development Bank. It is the 4 acres model group that I decided needed grants or soft loans direct from government. We started with the Ntandikwa, PMA, Plan for Modernization of Agriculture. These were all money put aside for this purpose. NADS, Operation Wealth Creation, and now PDM. These efforts were for agriculture. With the non-agricultural or broad spectrum activities, we have put in place the following: the Women Fund, the Youth Fund, Microfinance, and now recently, Emioga. With all the pre-PDM funds, the modes were that government officials were the ones selecting the beneficiaries. Especially with Operational Wealth Creation, it initially worked well. Indeed, the households in the non-money sector declined from 68% to 39%. This was most commendable. However, I started picking up complaints from the public of Begabera Boka. They only give to themselves. Palliative food. They supply us bad quality materials. Baleta Biabuseri. They bring overpriced items. That is when I decided that the UPDF must get out of this effort, because the image of the wider force was going to be ruined by the mistakes of these fellows who were in Operation Wealth Creation, who had lost their straightforwardness.
Now, President Museveni also mentions something to do with the kind of selfishness, especially around those in leadership in the country. Of course, this takes us back to the claims of corruption and all of that, especially when it comes to the world of business. Trade is mainly reinstated, if at all, the people within the entire value chain are mindful of the kinds of discussions that they do. Are they very beneficial to the people who are supposed to benefit from such efforts, especially when it comes to, let's say, the kind of trade organizations available? You get to realize that it's wise enough, or it's quite better if we continue to at least have these ideas that we are more, or let's say we are more concerned about what we do. Does it affect people, or is it helpful and important to the generation? Is it important to the people we represent? This goes back to the policymakers who align this. And of course, Algeria is now an alternative market. Not an alternative market, I should say. It's now among the priority markets for Uganda's dairy products. It does seem to say that by the look of things, as Zambia was added onto the list, of course, when we continue to get these particular different business summits, for example, on the African continent, we had one in South Africa, you get to realize that the reason as to why most of these keep on happening is that the discussions around there include trade relations, include strengthening the trade relations, include looking for markets for most of the products, especially agro-based products for Uganda, and then maybe later on in the next few years, you then get to realize that we shall be adding on to something still further as we continue to understand the perspective of the business world here in Uganda and beyond. But of course, President Museveni is saying that 150 million US dollars would be the same exact amount of money that would be used this time around if we are to look at the kind of market space that we want to, that is for the market space or the market value of dairy products, dairy exports that will be heading out to Algeria. Well, of course, the week has just got started from the world of the official debts for people who work in the private sector and those who work in the public service. You get to realize that the weekend was short-lived. Not a good one for Honorable Dixon Kateshumbwa, whose account got hacked over the weekend, and of course some revelations that we experienced in there during that particular hacking on Saturday. It was a full day of his IT team recovering his social media, that is his Twitter handle in that regard. But also, besides that, the weekend also characterized with, or what you could say has been summed up with rainfall that kick-started off as early as 2 a.m. in the morning, stretching till the hour of around 6 a.m. So you can easily know that Monday does look to be a very busy one, especially when it comes to the rotation of a day kicking off with rains or different showers from different angles within the country. So we all know that certain times when it rains in the morning, traffic jam is highly expected during the first few hours of the day. So from 7 a.m. Stretching to maybe around 10 a.m. you get to realize that you will be able to at least be inconvenienced enough, or inconvenienced indeed, by the traffic jam that is highly expected to hit differently. But the week does look to be very profitable, or it looks to be quite promising to the business community. So that means if we are to look steadily in understanding what next or what is coming up throughout the week, you should be very hopeful, especially when it comes to a week starting. When the week is just getting started, these are some of the things we look at. These are things that we normally have to focus on, that we have to be optimistic that things will be happening. It is the 20th. This will be definitely kicking off and giving us more chances, more advantages, but pretty much the time for us to be very hopeful that by the end of it all, we shall be good to go. All right, now besides that, as the week is kicking off, the other side of the coin is that you realize that in Kenya, there is a high expectation that we may have a strike this morning after the former presidential candidate Baba Raila Odinga did reveal that this day should be a public holiday. Of course, he wants to be president of Kenya and he wants to put himself back there. It's the people who will have to put him back in there. But of course, different discussions have been ongoing throughout the weekend, and of course since last week, for Kenyans to be reminded that, hey, regardless of whether we did not like or we didn't accept the results of the elections, but we should as well support the president, especially for those who are supporting Raila Odinga. If Raila Odinga didn't make it to be president, let us support the current president to push forward, because a peaceful nation creates room for economic prosperity. Of course, that is summing up for you how the weekend went through as we kickstart off this particular week. But besides that, now let's get into our press review to see what is making headlines from the print media this morning. All right, now with the press review this morning, you've got the New Vision, the East African, and the Daily Monitor. Now with the New Vision, Cabinet approves school fees policy, schools not to sell uniforms, charging for food has as well been banned, according to what the New Vision has highlighted. Now, when you look at this one, court has dismissed COVIDX case. This is another report in here, as when you look through the other issue, the Iron Sheet saga, probe team goes to Karamoja to investigate further, to see how this was done. Now, also on the other side, Kiplimo and Cheptegei continue to represent Uganda highly as they win gold and silver in New York. That is a story here in the New Vision, courtesy of the sports kind of situation as well. And according to police, 800 police officers quit every year. Why? One of the reasons being highlighted in here is coming in from the New Vision, because in between the lines they say the strategic plan projects that Uganda's population will be at 46,930,900 people by 2025, and the strength will be 93,862 personnel. Now, the police population ratio currently stands at 1.892 currently, compared to the UN standard ratio of 1.500. And furthermore, when you look at the other details in here, Gender Ministry and Police want special prisons for the LGBT. This is another one coming in from here, as the Attorney General says anti-homosexuality bill is a duplication. Now, besides that, legislators are in Karamoja to probe GOTS project. Hope that will be followed up, as Uganda has no resources for water-related disasters. This is another report the New Vision is highlighting this morning. Now, besides that, we look now at the East African newspaper, as there is a report regarding President Kagame's plan for 2024. Why not me? Asks the Rwandan president about who's running for elections in Rwanda. Of course, the president is still looking at running again for presidency in Rwanda. That is His Excellency Paul Kagame. Now, the East African has also showed something to do with President Samia and President Sall in the Airbus wars, as Tanzania and Senegal A220 is grounded over default, as the state joins hands and demands service. Now, East Africa is set to dial up cheap calls as Tanzania and Burundi under pressure to join one network area. Then furthermore, as we continue to look deeper into the press review, Uganda milks New North relations as President Museveni has found a 500 million dairy market in North Africa. North Africa, speaking of which, Algeria in perspective. And beyond now in the segment of markets, there is a good start for KCB in the Congolese market, as Kinshasa acquisition isn't such a big debt on revenues for KCB Bank, according to what is in here with the East African newspaper. And now lastly, from the press review this morning, Daily Monitor, overhaul at the Bank of Uganda sparks job fights as the bank withholds comments until completion of a restructuring where mergers, elimination and downgrade of opposition has triggered allegations that the loyalties of former Governor Tumsime Motebile are being purged. Then also on the other hand, Oboji Ferry is back after 3 years. This is for residents of the Madi sub-region following the resumption of operations of the Obogi Sinyanya Ferry in the West Nile region. Then furthermore, Indian nationals on the spot over 13 billion fraud claim. This is courtesy of the Daily Monitor this morning. Then Global Star, Uganda's Kiplimo, that is Jacob Kiplimo, wins 74 million shillings in the New York City half marathon. Big point, big news for Uganda's sports fraternity in there. Now, furthermore, family fury as dead relative is adversely named in NSSF inquiry. So this is what the Daily Monitor is looking deeper into bringing to you this early morning. So you can grab a copy of one of the three, Daily Monitor, New Vision, or the East African. Those are some of the key business highlights in there. You're still watching Smart Means Business. 25 minutes of the hour of 7 o'clock. It's a rainy morning here in Kampala, and of course in some of the neighboring districts within Uganda. You're watching Smart 24 TV, and this is your daily kickstart. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko, and as we're heading into the break, remember to invest in government bonds and other securities with the Zabu platform. Zabu says, my money, my future, and it is powered by Altex East Africa, which reminds you to do something new. With Altex East Africa, it is as simple as it just gets every single day. So be part of the ever-growing Uganda's financial market space by joining the ever-growing space of all those who want to engage in these kind of activations. Star 292 hash is the USSD code. You will be ushered into the Zabu platform. But also remember, once you get engaged into the platform, all you need to do is use that USSD code to kickstart of your investment journey. The markets open at 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. Registration is only simple by you investing using your national identification number at the time of investment. Zabu, my money, my future. Altex East Africa, do something new. After the break, I will be back with the latest from the East African perspective as we look at Karibu East Africa. And then not only that, we shall also be looking at the SMB International News. All that and more coming up shortly. Good morning.